It is November 16, 1532, in the now Peruvian city of Cajamarca, and an Incan army under command of Emperor Sapa Inca, Atahualpa, files into the town square. Hidden in the buildings are arquebus-armed Spanish soldiers, under command of Conquistador Francisco Pizarro. Once the Incan army is in formation, Friar Vicente de Valverde walks out accompanied by an interpreter. Valverde demanded Atahualpa accept Christianity, which left Atahualpa confused and insulted. Supposedly, when Valverde tried to hand Atahualpa a Bible, Atahualpa threw it to the side, causing Valverde to run back into the building screaming that Atahualpa was a heretic and calling on the soldiers to fire. In 1522, Pascual de Andagoya made the first Spanish landing on the west coast of South America. Hearing of a gold-rich region called Viru or Peru, thinking Peru might be El Dorado, the rumor spread, eventually reaching the ears of Francisco Pizarro. Pizarro had already led a legendary career, being the man who arrested Vasco Núñez de Balboa, conquistador who first crossed Panama. Pizarro planned an expedition to Peru and Panama and left with 80 men and 4 horses in November 1524, but this was unsuccessful due to inability to find a landing and encounters with hostile natives like the Battle of Punta Quemada. Pizarro set out on a second expedition in March of 1526 with 160 men. The group split up, with Pizarro having no luck in Colombia, but his main pilot, Bartolomé Ruiz, went south and captured a native trading vessel, finding gold pieces among the textiles and pottery. Reuniting with Pizarro, the group sailed back to Panama to meet reinforcements from Spain and head back with boosted morale. This new expedition reached Ecuador and encountered hostile people at Atacames, which prevented their landing. In late 1527, Pizarro would try again, but was followed by Juan Tafur, who was under mission to bring Pizarro back to Peru. Pizarro refused, and only 13 men stayed with him. Eventually, he was joined by more soldiers, and they continued south on recommendations of native interpreters. The expedition finally reached Peru's Tumbes region in April 1528, being welcomed by the locals. Upon seeing a llama, Pizarro called them little camels. Spring of 1528 would see Pizarro called back to Spain to receive a license to conquer Peru in July of 1529, called the Capitulación de Toledo. In January of 1530, Pizarro would leave Spain for Panama, and on December 27, 1530, he would leave Panama for Peru, landing on the coast of Ecuador. Pizarro was met with fierce resistance by the Punians at the Battle of Puna. Pizarro initially planned to sail to Tumbes, but decided Tumbes wasn't safe, so the Spaniards went inland and established San Miguel de Payura, the first Spanish settlement in Peru. Atahualpa's father, Huayna Capac, died of smallpox in 1527, one of the first high-profile native leaders to suffer that fate. This caused Atahualpa to have to fight a civil war against his brother, Huascar, for the throne. Atahualpa had recently achieved victory in this war when he received words of the Spaniards' arrival. Atahualpa was resting at the Inca Baths near Cajamarca when Pizarro arrived there on November 15, 1532. Pizarro sent his brother, Hernando, and the infamous Hernando de Soto to meet with Atahualpa. At this meeting, Incan ceremonial chicha or corn beer was offered in gold cups to which the Spaniards poured out. Atahualpa agreed to a meeting at Cajamarca with Francisco. According to the Inca, Atahualpa arrived at a meeting with peace on his mind, not arming his soldiers with much but knives and llama lassos. When Friar Valverde offered Atahualpa a Bible, Atahualpa remembered the chicha incident and threw it on the ground, feeling offended. Valverde then tried to say the chief Inca deity, Viracocha, ordered the Spanish to present themselves to the Inca, but when given chicha, Valverde paid it no mind and didn't drink. Angered, Atahualpa stood up and said, "If you disrespect me, I will also disrespect you," which prompted the Spanish attack. Chaos ensued as the Spanish fired into the Inca and the cavalry chargers ran into the stunned Inca line. The Spaniards attempted to cut those holding Atahualpa up's hands to make them drop him, but they started holding his litter up with their stumps and throwing themselves in between the Spanish and Atahualpa, using their bodies as shields. Pizarro rushed through the carnage and blocked the attack of a soldier trying to kill Atahualpa, seeing the value of taking him hostage. The Incan force collapsed upon losing the Sapa Inca and retreated to a ways outside of Cajamarca. The Spaniards held Atahualpa in what is known as the Ransom Room. It's a museum today. Atahualpa offered to buy his freedom back by filling the room with gold and 2 smaller rooms with silver, with 2 months to do so. Gold and silver artifacts were brought from all over the empire, and the room was filled. Most of the priceless items were melted down into ingots to be sent to Spain, with only the most beautiful artifacts being preserved. Atahualpa demanded to be set free, while Pizarro and De Soto were reluctant to free or kill the Sapa Inca. Fellow conquistador Diego de Almagro demanded Atahualpa's death. Pizarro decided to put Atahualpa on trial for 12 charges, including assassinating his brother, who he was at war with, idolatry, adultery, and attempting to incite an insurrection against the empire he ruled. He was found guilty and sentenced to be burned at the stake as a heretic, as judged by Friar Valverde. Atahualpa famously then turned to Pizarro and stated, "What have I done, or my children, that I should meet such a fate? And from your hands, too, you, who have met with friendship and kindness from my people, with whom I have shared my treasures, who have received nothing but benefits from my hands." The night of August 24, 1533, as Atahualpa was being prepared to be tied to a stake, Friar Valverde offered him the option of simply being strangled by Garrett if he were to accept Christianity. Atahualpa accepted, being baptized as Francisco Atahualpa, naming himself after Pizarro. Atahualpa's last request to Pizarro was that his body be returned to Quito, and that Pizarro show mercy to his children. Thanks for watching.